Hello MK students, this is Cassie with MK Glass Designs. I'm going to show you how to take a cone from this to this. So, first thing you want to do is get all of your glass ready, wipe it off, organize it kind of what are your larger pieces to your smaller pieces. This will help with construction. Now to prep your cone, you'll peel your sticker off, you'll put your hand in your cone, and you will proceed to sand the outside. And we just want to sand it enough that it's kind of cloudy. We just don't want it all shiny. I know it looks shiny, but that's from the flash. But if you see, it's got all these scrapes and lines in it. This is what we want all over. And then I myself, just for good measure to make sure that all the glue is going to stick, just kind of dust it off a little bit. Now, once you have your glass wiped off and kind of organized, you're going to plug in your glue gun. Your glue gun will take about 3 or 4 minutes to heat up. While your glue gun is heating up, you want to kind of pull out all of your square-ish, rectangle-ish pieces and get them ready. So our goal on the bottom row here is to cover that cone. So if you see, they're all nice and tight against each other. Now it's inevitable to have a little bit of space. That little bit of space isn't a big deal. Okay, so I am assuming that we have our bottom row done now. And you'll want to pause this and play it as you need it. But once we have that first row on, we're going to start working on our other rows. So, when we start, we're just going to go around and around in a spiral. I did this so that I could kind of show you what will happen. Now, when we're looking at it like this and we're working on it, see how we can see all those gaps? But when you are sitting this up, see how we don't see all that anymore? So let me just show you an example. Here is the one that is finished. See how we can see in between there at the bottom? But when we look at it, when it's sitting right, we can't see all of those spots. So as we're working, do not worry about gaps along the way. Now, I'm not saying that, we want to put big gaps, but don't worry about any of these smaller gaps we can see from underneath. Because if we see, when we look at it from another angle, we can't see those gaps. So, now we have our first row done. When we get to our second row, we're going to put the glue directly on the cone. And we'll just put a line. We'll take our glass, we'll put it in that glue, we'll kind of move it around a little bit, and then we'll hold it kind of on an angle. So if you see, it's kind of elevated off of the cone and the other glass a little bit. Sometimes you'll have to hold it. If you are using small pieces, you won't have to hold it as long. If you have heavier pieces, you'll have to hold it a little longer. And then we'll just hold it there, kind of angled. When we angle it like this, it kind of gives our tree that tree look at the end. Now, what you would do is you would go all the way around like that. When you come around for your second row, again, we'll put a line of glue. And this time you're going to kind of go in the middle of those previous two pieces. Rub your glass, and you'll hold it. Just long enough for it to stay. And if you see, there's a little bit of room between each row. Just a little bit. Now, let's say you don't have triangle pieces, and it's kind of square. What we'll do is, we'll just kind of turn it to the side a little bit. Same process, but we'll kind of lean it over that first piece a little bit. Because see, now we still have that point at the bottom, which is kind of what we want. It's what will give our tree that tree look in the end. So if you see, we're just kind of shingling. Now, when we have that gap, when we come back around again, each time we come around and do a layer, it will continue to cover the previous holes in the previous layers. So I'll even show you. Put a little bit of glue here, because let's say we went all the way around again. Now we're on that next row. Rub that glass in that glue. We'll hold it over that previous layer. And see how now we don't have any gaps right there. And once you're done your first row, you kind of won't have many rows after that. It'll be more of a spiral. We'll start working and just keep going around and around. And your pieces will get a little smaller as you go. And I wouldn't worry too much on size, because if you look, sometimes it's a bigger piece, sometimes it's a smaller piece. But you want similar. Now, as you're working up your cone, and we get closer to the top, also you may notice that you have some pieces like this that are kind of curved. When you do, you're going to put the flattest part of it against the cone and let the curve come away. Now, when you get closer to the end, you'll find that you have some pieces kind of like this, or even like this, maybe even like this. When you get closer to the end, close to the top, you can go through and see if there are any gaps that you don't like. Now, let's keep in mind that a real tree, you would be able to see the light come through. So don't worry too much about gaps. Kind of go with what you like. So if you like bigger space between each row, then by all means do that. We want you guys to be creative and kind of come up with your own look. We want this to be what you like and what is pleasing to your eye. Now, at the very top, what you will do is, I'm going to show you the size pieces that fit best on the top. And then I will show you how I place them. So this is kind of what we want to use on the top. And you'll actually go right against this little line right here. So you'll just keep working your way up, working your way up. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the cone. And now I'm going to start placing pieces of glass. And you will literally just work right up to the very edge. Put a little bit of glue on this front. Let's let it focus. And you would just all the way around, work your way right up to that edge. Now, you will find that you have a topper in your... Hold on, let me grab one. You will find that you have a starfish or an anchor. You will then take a piece of glass that can fit into the top of your tree. Yes, it's falling down in there as of right now, but once I add, I will show you. I'll add a little bit of glue. I will then add my piece of glass. And I'm making sure that it's kind of sticking straight out. Not on an angle, because if it's on an angle, then our starfish is going to lean to the back. And this isn't what we want. So we're going to kind of wait for them to dry a little bit. And now we can take our star on and off of our tree. And if you notice, all of my pieces are not pointy. When you look at it as a whole, they kind of look like they are. But then when you take a closer look at it, you can see that they're not all perfect triangles. So I want you guys to know that, yes, triangles are ideal, but that's not always what we have. So we make what we have work. So if we notice that it is kind of round, then you would literally put this so that this piece is still elongated towards the bottom of the tree. Now, let's not forget that we have this awesome light as well. I will turn off a light or two so that you guys can see. Now, I will give you some info on your remote as well. Turn my light back on. So, on your remote, when you push one of these gray buttons, which make light colors change, hold on. So, let's say we push flash. This is what flash will do. Now, these two buttons at the top. This will make it go slower. Or faster. Fade. Fade slowly to each color depending on your setting. So if you turn it all the way down, I know it's kind of bright, so it's a little hard to see. It's now blue. So hold on. Now we're pink. And now we're slowly turning to green. Also, all of these buttons that are solid colors are to change that light to those colors. And these two buttons are to make it dimmer. Or brighter. And this is our white. With this video, you can rewind. You can pause it while you do each individual step to restart it when you get to the next step. My suggestion would be to watch the video and then rewind it to the beginning and do it step by step. Just when you have that clear idea, it kind of makes those steps go a little smoother when you've already kind of heard the instructions the first time. Yeah, so let's do a quick recap. Make sure we covered everything. Clear cone sanded is where we will start. We will make sure all of our glass is wiped and sorted. big to small. We will also pull out all of our square-ish, rectangle-ish pieces. These will go on the bottom. Once we do that, we will then start our spiral. Again, we do one all the way around. When we come around the second time is when we will shingle it in between the others that we already have there. As you go, you will just keep working in a spiral until you get to the top, where our pieces will get smaller and smaller. My suggestion is once you get to the last inch or two of the top of your tree, to turn on your light, put it under your tree. It will allow you to see if there are any gaps that are worth filling. Because again, depending on the angle we look at it, it may appear to be a lot of gaps. But then when you look at it sitting upright, there may not be those gaps. We hope to see your guys' trees one day. Once you are finished, it would be amazing if you could give us a review and post those pictures. Thank you guys. Everyone have a happy holiday.